Hi guys, welcome to Monitoring and Evaluation Made Simple. I'm your host, Coach Alexander. Today I want us to go through an article that was released on the BBC website. Occasionally I go to the BBC website, but this caught my attention because it's talking about a lady, the woman on this picture, and she was a victim of gender-based violence. Okay, and it says here, I didn't know it was abuse until I nearly died. Okay, I know you might be wondering, why am I talking about this on this channel? Well, for simple reasons, I want to tell you that, you see, monitoring and evaluation made simple is, I want to turn it into a watchdog so that we keep track of events around the world. But also, in development work, there's this issue of equal rights and combating GBV. And in our day and age, one would think that gender-based violence has eradicated. Okay, not eradicated, I mean significantly reduced. But if you read this article, it's actually giving us something contrary. Okay, let me read some of this so that we can appreciate. Then I'm going to talk about this incident and what it means to us today. So it says here, it was only when Abby Blake was nearly killed by her abusive husband that she decided to break up with him and press charges. A new policing pilot in Cheshire encourages women not to leave it so late, reports the BBC's Sue Michelle. Okay, so it's, when you read down, it talks about how they met, and as you can see, they look like a happy couple, as it is in most cases. Okay, so when did it all start? Well, it says they were introduced by friends just after Valentine's Day in 2014. She was an operations manager at Manchester Airport with a son from a previous relationship, and he was a telecom manager down south. Okay, as they drove to the hotel afterwards, she told him it was one of the happiest moments of her life. Moving to live with Abby in Cheshire village of Swami told his new wife that he wanted to help make her son's life happier. Okay, so things were good. Okay, but as we see here, for a long time, Abby tried to shrug things off, making excuses for him and focusing on the things she loved. The times he looked after her and was kind and charming, the occasions when he would take her out, buy her flowers and fix things in the house. He was handsome and she felt touched by gifts that meant so much to him. Okay? Once the violence started, it was harder to ignore. The first time was after he had persuaded her to go out with friends. She returned to find traces of what looked like cocaine on his son Thomas. Okay, she demanded an explanation and Sebastian exploded. He slapped me very, very hard and then he gripped hold of my mouth and told me to shut up. Okay, so all those incidences of gender-based violence. Okay, so if you read here, but she always refused to press charges, even when her husband appeared to have started a fire. So, okay, actually the man started a fire in their house because he was angry. Okay, so it says Abby's mom warned her one day that she would end up in a body bag. Okay, 5 days later, her words almost came true when Swami kicked and stamped on Abby's body with such force that he damaged her spinal cord, punctured a lung, and broke her ribs. Okay, murders related to domestic violence are at a 5-year high. Okay, so when you read on, you're going to appreciate that there are even doctors that have come in to talk about gender-based violence. Okay, and figures from the Office of National Statistics show how important it is for solutions to be found. In 2018, 4.2% of men and 7.9% of women suffered domestic abuse, which equates to about 68 685,000 male victims and 1.3 million women. Okay, murders related to domestic violence are at a 5-year high, with an average of 2 women murdered every week. Okay, so now I guess you're wondering, so what does this all mean? Okay, so I think there's really a serious problem in our world today. Okay, and I think you get the feeling why even when you look at these women's rights movements talking about protecting women's rights, protecting them from GBV, encouraging them to better their living, you get a sense of where all this is coming from. Because, as you can see, it can get really ugly. She nearly lost her life, and it started as a sign that maybe you could ignore. Sometimes women, okay, I mean, marriage, yes, you want to make things work. You're hoping that your spouse will change. But it wasn't the case, and she ended up suffering. So now, where does this all come from? Well, I'm pretty sure if you go to the church or any congregation around the world, they'll tell you that they have their own explanations. Doctors have their own explanations of this. Actually, if you read this article, it mentions that usually a person that has experienced seen their parents, one of their parents doing GBV on the spouse, it affects their growth and they later on start behaving the same. But I really, like, if you ask me, I don't always think that is the reason. There are so many things that can affect somebody. Like, if you look at this happy couple, would you expect this guy to kill her? I don't know, but there are so many factors that can lead to that, in my own view. But whatever the case, I think now is the time for people to start developing programs, projects that are helping women and men change the way they interact with each other in marriage or a relationship. Okay, there needs to be money pumped in for some kind of education program to help these people realize that, fighting, killing each other is not the answer. It doesn't solve anything, it just makes the world a worse place. And remember, it's not only the women who get affected by GBV, okay? And this, I'm telling you, is the truth. There are men out there who are being psychologically, mentally, and physically abused by their spouse, who are women, you see. So it goes both ways. So the issue for me is, why does it have to increase, especially in the UK? Because she's an educated woman. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't really matter which region, but it's just telling us that something is wrong. So money needs to be pumped in for a total mindset change, education, counseling. We really need to have more funding in this area to do with gender-based violence, because it's not always the issue. In such a case, why not just if you have a problem with your spouse and you feel that, okay, I want to beat her up, I want to beat him up, why don't you just, if it's not working, leave for a while? In order to, it's not that I'm encouraging separation, divorce, but in order to avoid this issue of killing. You see what I'm saying? So I think, in my view, it's really a total shame. It's disheartening that we are still seeing these things happening in the year 2020. And they are saying that it is high, quite high. So it's quite disappointing. Okay, let me know your comments. If you have any comments, my name is Coach Alexander, and see you on the other side. Bye.